course, half the people in here is just me and you, so.
Yep. All right. Well, welcome to the stream. I have my friend Nate, aka Kane bringing the pain, aka Nate bringing the cane, aka. And then you have myself, Anthony, also known as the amazingly average Anthony or Amzavaga on YouTube or Twitter. It's funny because Nate still thinks I'm somehow gonna prank him during this stream to get revenge for the whole Saints Row thing.
Well,
But
there's a reason behind that. Because, one, again, like you said, personal blows have been pushed off to each other in regards to the whole Saints Row versus the GTA Master Race, because it is the GTA Master Race. But no, seriously, last night I had a freaking dream. And ironically enough, we're doing this right now, but let's start with the dream. Whatever, I don't even know what the hell we was doing. We was at some kind of convention. All right. Apparently, in my dream, we actually like made it like somewhat big to where we're like going to conventions now. So
yay!
I'm sitting down. We're actually both sitting down on this bench, but you're like further off. Like there's a pretty good sizable space in between us. So we're just sitting there, and then somebody comes up and sits in between us. And I look over and I'm like, oh shit! It was Total Biscuit of all the people. But anyway, so I'm sitting there like, first thing I'm thinking like, oh shit, we got to get him on Gamer Talk Live. So I'm sitting there and like he's like nodding off and shit for whatever reasons. I'm like, hey man, watch your shit, all like going through all the spiel and stuff, but you're just sitting over there like not saying a word. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do whatever. So I'm like talking to him about it. Then I get to like Gamer Talk Live, and he's like sounding all interested. Then this guy in my dream starts coming off with, like starts stretching his arms out and straight like smacking Total Biscuit right in the face, like, and paying no never mind to it, just like kept fucking smacking him, and like Total Biscuit's going like, what the hell? So I'm like reaching over him, going like, dude, fucking quit it! What are you doing? So they're like, oh my bad, man. So Anthony gets up, walks away, and I follow him, and I'm like, for whatever reason, you decided to get up and start looking for Austin. Like that was, if we couldn't have got weird enough.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, what the hell was that all about? And you're like, oh, I don't know, man. And then Austin comes up, he's like, what happened? I was like, this fucking dick's fucking up getting Total Biscuit on Gamer Talk Live. And he was like, it's Anthony, man, what do you expect?
That actually totally sounds like a response you would say.
So I go back over there, and then, Total Biscuit's nodding off again. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Gamer Talk Live, it's a really cool thing that we've been working on. And I shit you not, this happens in my dream. He sits there, he's like, you know what's really cool? I'm like, what? He's like, trying to get some rest. I was like, damn! I got fucking shut down in my dream by an asshole, but yeah. So then I wake up and I'm getting a fucking text message from him like, hey man, let's talk about GTA tonight. I'm like, wait, what? You're gonna fuck it up. I know. Something is gonna happen, and I feel it in my loins. But anyways, do your thing, man.
Well, it was actually funny because anybody who just came in hearing that story thinks that actually happened. I did not. I did not slap Total Biscuit in the face, although that would be funny. It does sound like some shit I'd pull in a smart ass kind of way. But yeah, we're here because we're going to be discussing Grand Theft Auto 5 and just a lot of different aspects of it as far as the actual gameplay itself, story. So there might be some minor spoilers, nothing too huge. We'll kind of let you know beforehand. We'll be like, okay, spoilers incoming. And then it'll be like, okay, well, the spoilers will be gone. You go ahead and mute the stream until we do like a thumbs up or something stupid like that. So where, we're done with a certain spoiler of some sort. But also just some of the controversy, getting hyped up for Grand Theft Auto Online. Because, of course, at one point or another, Nate's lazy ass is going to get on top of creating a crew on the Rockstar Social Club so we can get that going together.
Wait, whoa. Have you checked the social club lately?
Not since I told you to get on it.
What? No, actually, I've been part of the social club since exactly one day before you, back in May of 2010. But no, I did actually send you a crew invite.
Okay, so I'll double check that so we can get that going. Even though I only rented the game, apparently that makes me an infidel.
You are worthless. Who
Uh,
who rents this? Seriously, who
One, I
rents?
don't have any money. And two, I'm not a big a fan of Grand Theft Auto as you are. It kind of is a backstory, and like he said before, he was mocking me because of Saints Row. The two games now are completely different, and for me, Saints Row, I just have a lot more fun with it. It's kind of more just the game I enjoy. It's not really like, oh, Saints Row is better than GTA, because that's like saying apples are better than oranges. I mean, there's gonna be people who are gonna say that, but there's no real comparison you can derive between the two.
Right.
But yeah, so as I said, I would at least rent Grand Theft Auto 5, see what all the fuss is about, because the gameplay trailers, as we did the old impressions video before, did look amazing. It looks like they really did do a complete overhaul as far as the whole gameplay functions, graphics, everything. So it was very interesting to see how that was going to turn out. And I know both you and I are close to the end of the game. I mean, we're at like 44. I'm at 44 story missions out of 62, is it? And
I think it's 67.
67 around that.
No, wait, no, it's 69. I remember 'cause I
69.
was
Okay.
like,
So we're
I'm,
probably a little past 3/4 or so. We're not too far off. I know you've been doing mostly dicking around, like you do your live Twitch stream of Grand Theft Auto free roaming and stuff like that. A lot of people have
you
been really enjoying that. Um, Austin's pissed because I'm already way past him in terms of story activities and a lot of other stuff like that. Because I did all the random events. I'm just trying to catch up on some of the activities. Yoga is hilarious. You're just sitting there. It's like breathing. Then you're doing this and all that other crazy nonsense.
that shit aggravated me because I never understood exactly when I was supposed to exhale.
Like
Like,
immediately after you inhale, you exhale.
but like it did like that little flash thing, so I kept thinking like that little ring that it puts in there, like it was like saying I fucked up. So I'm like, okay, am I not supposed to do it then? I got confused. I got literally bewildered on yoga
But I
in a
mean, that's
video
what's
game.
cool too, is because unlike previous GTA's, which except for four kind of introduced a lot of the other side crazy stuff you could do. But at least this was more fun, or at least from a lot of other people have said. I haven't actually played four at all. I'll be honest. The last Grand Theft Auto I played was San Andreas, which I didn't even play through the whole thing, which is usually unlike me because usually if I start a game, I'll finish it to the end. But with San Andreas and Vice City, I just couldn't do it. It just couldn't keep me captivated enough long enough to finish it. But I did appreciate, at least with San Andreas, they introduced the whole thing that you see now in Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5, to where if you run for a certain period of time, bike ride, basically doing different things, you can improve your actual skills. So that was really cool. But yeah, the last game I enjoyed was Grand Theft Auto 3, but now we have Grand Theft Auto 5, which is just uh, phenomenal. I mean, there's really not anything, another word I can think of to better describe it. It's not a 10 out of a 10. I'm like, oh my god, GTA Master Race, best game ever made. There's definitely has some flaws that I'll probably be discussing throughout this, but nothing serious. This is I guess almost kind of like a pseudo review. I was gonna do a full review, but I want to wait until GTA Online, because then you have the total package. I'm not gonna be one of those
Right.
people who's just like, I'm gonna give it a review even though it's only like half a game, because GTA Online is still a major part of Grand Theft Auto 5 itself.
And that's kind of going back to what you was talking about, like in the missions and side activities. 5 versus 4 in its side activities, so there's like really no question of which one's better. 5, the side activities, like yeah, you still have like the kind of stupid ones like playing darts and stuff like that. Or I mean, I guess you can even if you have no interest in golf, you can kind of look at it that way as well. But it actually like boosts your character's skills depending on what you're doing, and there's a lot more of them that are actually fun. That like I actually just last night I unlocked a whole new activity list, which is parachuting. So you got activities where you're just trying to parachute and like hit the little markers as you're going down. So it goes a lot further than what 4 did in terms of just basically getting a bunch of annoying phone calls from your friends and
Hey, let's go bowling.
right, like fuck that. I don't want to go bowling. That's fucking stupid. I want to do something else. And then like in this, I mean, you could take them to a strip club or
The strip club
go out
minigame.
drinking and shit like that. How many times actually,
How many times have you gotten thrown out of a strip club?
Once, because after the first time I figured out how to do it the right way. But
Did you not pay attention to the instructions? Did you not watch the video?
no, I didn't watch it. Okay, look. Well, you can't literally look, but I'll tell you.
Look.
For
Yeah, sure. Let me look at that.
right. But for Michael, I've already had like 5 private dances. For Franklin, this is loading slow as shit. But I figured it out. But the interesting thing about it is like you can actually get a stripper, take a stripper home.
Which is actually interesting because at the same time, some of these strippers have self-respect. They strictly will not sleep with you.
Yep.
They'll just, some of them just be like, no, I don't sleep around. I got a man. So it's kind of more imitating real life, which makes it evil.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, and as far as the story is concerned, I guess slight spoiler, so brace yourselves if you don't want to. It's towards the beginning, so it's not like a huge deal, but just in case, I'll give thumbs up once we're done. But at the very beginning, when as Michael, and you catch your wife sleeping around with the, tennis instructor and that whole thing, and after you pull down the whole half of the house, the deck, that was great too, by the way. And you find out it belongs to the Mexican drug dealer. Is Mendoza, I think is his last name?
Yeah, I think so.
And I honestly thought the whole story was going to kind of revolve around having to do heists to kind of pay him back, which would have been like an interesting story arc. But then after the first heist, you already pay him back and you're done. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, as far as that was concerned, I thought it was a nice touch. I thought it was going to go differently, but it's kind of interesting more along the lines of the way it's going now, especially because there's the whole FIB, because you can't say FBI, angle that they're going, and just the whole kind of political intrigue, because you have the agency going against the FIB. You got poor Franklin, Trevor, and Michael caught in the middle, and there's also the dirty little secret of Michael actually originally planning to have Trevor killed. It wasn't the other guy that was supposed to be shot. So that's kind of a huge deal, and Trevor already is a psychotic fuck. So if he ever would have figured out that was the truth, it kind of would have been over for just about everybody.
Right, and that was one of the things I was saying like early on when people were asking me, who's your favorite character, and I said, well, I don't really care for Michael that much, and that's why, but at the same time, I can understand like the motives behind Michael doing that, because pretty much in the situation that he's put in now, like the actual main story, what's happening in the events of Grand Theft Auto 5, like he can't get rid of, he's not able to get out of that life with Trevor in his life. The only way he's actually able to move on is if Trevor doesn't exist. That's literally the only way, because Trevor's going to keep coming back.
Because he's a negative influence. I mean, which is weird, because when it comes to the whole Michael-Trevor dynamic, it's like whenever Trevor's around, Michael's life only plunges deeper into shit. But the funny thing is when Michael's around, Trevor tends to mellow out, which is really interesting how they've kind of pulled that off. Because, I mean, when we first see Trevor, poor Johnny, which everybody thought was like the biggest badass ever because of Lost and the Damned, gets taken out like nothing. First he fucks his girl, then it comes out and he starts yelling at Trevor, and Trevor's just like, okay, bashes his face with the bottle and stomps his head in, then proceeds to kill all of the Lost like it's nothing. So that already puts him like tenfold up on the damn badass scale for starters. But he goes from doing psychotic stuff like that, but around Michael, he's a lot more tame. He kind of realizes he can't pull shit like that. So it's kind of interesting how their relationship works out.
It might be that, and also just, like, another reason why Trevor, like, he was telling the story, I think he was telling Floyd, if I'm thinking his name right. I might be thinking, one of those cousins, the ones that look like the clown from Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah,
the
Juggalo.
one that got shit. Yeah. Wade, there you go. He was telling the story, but he was saying it with different names. It was a man named, what was it, Tracy or some shit like that?
No, it was Trisha.
Trisha.
Trisha, and I forgot what he said instead of Michael. I think it was Michelle.
Michelle, I think, yeah. So when he was telling that, like, basically that's, in that what I took from it was, Trevor's basically saying that his life didn't come full circle until he met Michael. And like you were saying, when he's around Michael, he's a lot more calm, he's a little mellow. So, in essence, like just
He
being
gave him
around,
purpose.
right? Exactly. So
Not
I
a
think
good
that's
purpose,
inevitable.
but
True. So I think that's why Trevor keeps, pushing to keep doing these things because around Michael, he feels not necessarily that he belongs, but like what he's doing is for a reason.
yeah, it's like the idols, the idle hands are the devil's plaything. If he's not
Right.
keeping himself preoccupied doing things with Michael, he's gonna do other stuff. Um, okay, like story spoilers are over. I mean, we'll probably discuss. We're gonna continue on characters, but it's not really major spoilers as far as character backstories, from what I'm gonna say. Continuing on, but yeah, as we were discussing a little bit to some degree, the spoiler style backstory of the characters. You have Franklin, Michael, Trevor, and they all become kind of intertwined as the story progresses. Out of the three, I'd probably have to say personality-wise, like as a person, my favorite is Franklin.
Yeah.
As a character, how well they're written, it would have to be Trevor. Although as a person, fucking hate Trevor. He's beyond psychotic. He's not a psychopath. He's not a sociopath. He's like a really horrible abomination of the two combined and then increased to like whatever degree you could think of. Just some of the horrible crap he was talking about. But like during the bike ride when he was kind of describing who he was growing up. For one thing, he's Canadian, but he doesn't have the accent, which is still hilarious because you can get the rampage missions, and the rampage missions usually involve Canadian jokes, and he just goes ape shit because it's like, oh, you can't, there's not even an accent, or he just goes on saying whatever gibberish, and you go, probably one of the most fun side missions you can do is, Trevor with the whole rampage, just shooting everything. You have to try and rack up as many kills in a certain period of time. He's just absolutely nuts. As to Michael's like the walking embodiment of a midlife crisis,
Yeah.
and you kind of feel, some kind of sympathy for him, but at the same time, a good portion of it is brought upon by himself, except for his family. His family is just a bunch of assholes. He was sitting there. It's like, okay, he might not be the best father in the world, but there's no excuse for the way you guys act. I mean, you guys could try to blame your stuff on him. And
It reminds me of I forget what the actual show was called, but when Ozzy and his family had that reality show, that's what Michael reminds me of, Ozzy.
he's Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, like he's obviously crazy and he's done crazy things like biting a fucking dove's head off and shit like that. But then like
It was a
when his
bat, man.
kids,
It was a bat.
oh yeah, but what I mean, like his kids as teenagers, obviously they got more centered now.
Yeah, I
But,
mean
it
they're
just
dysfunctional
reminds
as
me of
hell.
that. Yeah.
Which I mean, like his son Jimmy is just the stereotypical. Which they even had that conversation, which is hilarious. They kind of break the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall by saying you're a stereotypical stoner who just sits around playing video games all day. And it's like I forget the name of the game he's always playing. It's like Soldier of Righteousness or something like that. Making fun of Call of Duty, and if you kind of sit there, you can watch him play, and it looks just like Call of Duty. He talks hardcore shit, just like he's one of the people on Xbox Live talking about "I'm gonna rape your mother" and shit like that. And then you're watching him play the game, and it's either you have like the shit on the stick melee weapon, and then you're sitting there after you beat somebody. Your character, the in the game, is literally raping another character, and you're like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" And it's obviously a mockery of our society, which is also just something I really have to give credit to Rockstar for doing. Because with Saints Row, they went ahead and made fun of pop culture, which was really awesome. But then Rockstar did the same thing but different, if that even makes any sense, to where they kind of, instead of taking pop culture, they took, society itself.
Right.
All of our deepest, darkest parts of society, or even just some of the more well-known stuff that's just so stupid, and just completely poking fun of that, which I can greatly respect that.
Right, and like even with like I don't know if you've heard it on the radio station, going back to that, making fun of Call of Duty, there's a commercial that when they're actually advertising it, and it's talking about like the game console that's actually on, and I don't remember the name of it. Obviously, at this point, we know I'm not good with names, but at the end of the commercial where they're talking about the game, there was like somebody said, "I don't know what it's about." It was like, "Don't worry, it's basically the same thing, just a new year or some shit like that." Like
I think I remember
the
hearing
low
that.
blows they do is fucking hilarious. But
Yeah.
like you said, with and I don't know if this is a good time to like segue into like the serious controversy yet,
Not
but
yet. We still need to talk about Franklin and some of the other stuff.
okay,
Because I
all right,
haven't gotten to Franklin yet.
all right,
I guess I'll just bring that up then. Yeah, but Franklin is a character. He's just. He's trying to break the stereotype. That's what's so funny. Because Lamar is just the most horrific stereotype of a gangbanger. And he's happy with the lifestyle. He's proud of it, and he thinks it's the only way there is. But you see Franklin, who's honestly trying to make an attempt to better himself, to rise above it and do something with his life. He unfortunately still takes the easy route, trying to get that quick paper. But at least it's they kept saying that they're not anti-heroes, and they're definitely not heroes. They're not doing anything for like a great cause. But at the same time, I guess they're not all bad either, with the exception of Trevor. Which again, Trevor's psychotic fuck. But yeah, I mean, you constantly get like emails or messages from either Lamar or Franklin's aunt saying you grew up in the streets, you're never gonna amount to anything, you got your head in the clouds, and it's just such social commentary, and it's just sad because you want Franklin to go ahead and make it big, and that's why probably one of my favorite moments is when well, I guess that is kind of like somewhat of a spoiler, but during one of the assassination missions, he actually gets a better safe house. He gets a nice house in Vinewood. So to see him finally have a nice place, something to his own, and he's kind of almost living the dream, it was great to see, even though it wasn't for the most morally right reasons they got him there.
right. And I mean, in terms of like criminals and stuff, that's how I take like Franklin's story. Like while Trevor and Michael are pretty much
Career criminals.
having some kind of conflict, whether it's with obviously Franklin gets pulled into a lot of their conflicts, but like Franklin's more of like kind of like I guess the Cinderella story of a criminal because he's the one that you actually see him moving up in this. I don't want to say life because I mean the criminal life though that's what it is. He's the one that's actually like you can see at least as far as I've gotten actually just making advancements and actually like pretty much getting somewhere. Like I said, he does get a new place inadvertently, and it seems like his life is coming more full circle, while the other guys are just kind of like what the fuck.
They're still stuck in the same rut.
Right.
And at the same time too, like Franklin's probably the only person that has a real conscience. Because in some of the missions and some things you do, he's even like, oh man, this is fucked up, or oh my god, I can't believe we did this. And he definitely feels like it's something he didn't exactly want to do, but unfortunately that's kind of the way things went down. So, I mean, all of them definitely have their own personalities. And I think that was really cool because a lot of people were worried, having three protagonists, how they're going to go ahead and tie that together and make it work. I was definitely one of those people because it's tricky business. But again, Rockstar managed to do it no problem.
Right, and that's another key thing about it because I was also one of the people leery about that, because I guess what really swayed me is obviously how well written the story is so far, but they've also made a good point in developing their backstory. Again, like I was talking about before, but that was kind of spoiler things, but it did dive into Michael and Trevor's history, but also with Franklin, that he's got woman problems as well.
Yeah.
And also, at the beginning of the game, issues going on with his aunt and stuff. I mean, they feel like, obviously they're in-game created characters, but I mean, they feel like real people, like they've had lives before this. It's not just blindly go to this mission marker, do this, do that. Like, no, these guys have lives, and you're figuring out why it is that they've chosen the lives that they have.
Which is, unfortunately, what kind of plagued Grand Theft Auto for a while, because you had like a little tidbits of backstory that kind of explained who they were before, but it was nothing really that felt meaningful or really gave too much depth to the character, as to which either of those, I mean, unfortunately Franklin probably has the least amount of depth or like character development in regards to the other two, but I guess it's because the other two kind of the main story kind of mostly revolves around the two of them more than it does around Franklin. So I can kind of understand why you don't get as much. But Franklin still is definitely a very well fleshed out character.
Yeah.
Even despite that. But and as far as gameplay is concerned, I mean, they've definitely tightened everything up. I realized that it's actually a lot easier to get killed. Your health goes down a lot quicker, which I actually think that's great because it kind of ups the challenge up a little bit, not too much, because you can still kind of take cover. They have the whole cover system, and some of the weapons you can get later on are pretty much overpowered, especially because you can unlock them by going to the shooting range, which was another fun little diversion.
But that's one thing that I found kind of weird, and that kind of sticking with like the weapons and shooting and stuff. Like, one of the things that you can do in the game that they've integrated that we've talked about, like with our impressions of that last trailer that we did, the stock market. One of the more common things that you would think that you would do, because on the ball sack market,
ball sack.
That actually revolves around the community. So everybody's signed into the social network. You know, all their information going up to the servers, like that stock market is based off of that. So if, you know, people are generally buying weapons, which you would think they would, because, you know, in any other Grand Theft Auto game, that's typically one thing that you have to buy, especially like if you die or if you get busted or whatever, you have to restock on your ammo and all that stuff. One of the things that I found, like after building up the skills that you do get in the game, like strength and stuff like that, kind of taking more of a nod back to San Andreas, is that I'm to the point now where I really don't need to go out and buy any more ammunition. I don't need to. The only thing I ever really need to restock up on is like armor, but like everything else, I've gotten built up so much that I don't need to like invest in anything. I don't need to really go back to ammunition. So I think that's one of the things, especially with the improved combat, that kind of kills it for me. I basically kind of feel like all my characters are OP right now.
Well, yeah, because the way it works is the gunplay is more do or die than it used to be. It's over quick. It's either you're going to get killed right away or you're going to kill everything right away. There's no two ways really about it. And even as far as the shop is concerned and buying a lot of the ammunition and stuff like that, I mean, you no longer lose your weapons when you die. You still have everything, which is different from the previous games. It is actually pretty cool. I mean, it takes a little nod from Saints Row. But I mean, it's also going to hurt Ballsack, though, because when it comes to the ammunition, the way most people are going to generally do it is they're going to buy all the guns right away, or I would think a lot of people would buy the guns right away, buy as much ammo as they need, or at least that's how I play it.
Me too.
And then that way you don't have to ever go back there again, except for like the odd opportunity of trying to buy more body armor, if you buy more body armor.
That's all I say. I think that's a strange decision for them to do that, because the game really... Even the story is centered around money. Like, they're doing it for money. And like a lot of early missions, you either just ain't getting paid at all, or you're getting paid shit. So the fact that, there's not that urgency to try better in missions, because if you die, you basically have to start all over again. I mean, I can understand, like, maybe, you have a default, like, pistol for like Franklin, and Trevor has a shotgun default. Like, they have like one default weapon that even if you have no money, at least you have one weapon to do a mission with. I can see that, but to have your full arsenal that you have, basically there's really no penalty for dying except for paying what was like $5,000 for like hospital bills.
Well, not even. Like, I've seen some of the hospital bills that are even a lot less than that. I think it's based on how much money you have. It's more likely based off a percentage. But I mean, even with that, bringing up the whole point of heists, that's probably the only thing I'm a little disappointed about. Is one of the major features that they were, lamenting about. They're like, oh yeah, plan your heists, do this. I mean, again, I'm only 44 out of 69 missions in. There's probably going to be other opportunities, but I really thought there was going to be a lot more opportunities to plan your own heists, because there's definitely heists in there. But there's not as many opportunities just where you get to go plan A or plan B. This is the crew you want to take. This is how you want to do it, and so on.
You're right, and I mean, I'm kind of feeling like I did with Red Dead Redemption right now when they was talking about the free roam for that. Like, you can do all this, you can build up posses, you can rob a stagecoach and all this stuff, but when you got to it, there really wasn't all of that they was talking about. And the same thing is with the heist in Grand Theft Auto 5. I actually ran into a bank the other night when I was doing free roam, and I was like, okay, maybe I can rob this bank on my own. I go in there, you can't rob it. Like, I even put, like, you know, the sticky bombs on the safe and stuff. You can't do it. You can rob certain convenience stores and gas stations, and even
For petty money, yeah.
yeah. And Hunt actually pointed this out. Like, even the store, like clothing stores, because you know how you can't bring up your weapon inside the store.
Yeah.
If you're actually standing outside and you bring up your weapon and you point it at the cashier, then they'll be like, and then you can rob it that way, but you have to shoot the register for the money to come out.
Yeah, they won't just give it to you.
Right.
It's not like Saints Row, so after a while, they just go ahead and give you the money. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the heists, at least like the few times where you actually got to plan your own. The way I did it the first time was I did the smart way. Which way did you do? Did you go in guns blazing?
I did the smart way.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun trying to get all that set up and get that going. What was your take? Like, what did you make off of that?
I mean, again, I'm really in the position, and this is like if a lot of the reviews that's came out.
No, I mean like how much money did you make off of it? It's like what's your take?
Oh,
but you can go with that too.
Well, how much money I took, I don't even remember. I think at the end, because that's when I started like focusing more on Michael. I only had like a couple 100,000, if that, like 200,000. Really?
I made like almost $1 million off that one job.
Damn. The only thing I went cheap on was the
hacker,
the gunman.
Oh, okay.
No, I got everybody the most expensive one except for the gunman, and that son of a bitch fucking wrecked his damn bike going through the tunnels.
I got a Pac McGreedy.
But I picked it up. I picked up what he dropped, but still, okay. I don't know if that affected it.
It was weird because the only person I went midway on the hacker, so she ended up becoming a better hacker because of it. Because I went with him. I went with the one guy from everybody was saying is from Grand Theft Auto 4 is the gunman, like Packy McGrady or something like that.
I didn't even catch that.
Oh yeah, you find him if you're Franklin, or at least I was Franklin at the time. It's a random event to where he's holding up a giant warehouse store, but they don't have a driver. So if you drive for him, you unlock him as a gunman, and he does like he's like a kind of a mid take. He doesn't take too much for his cut, but he already starts off with great stats. So after you take him for one heist, he's already like practically maxed out.
That sucks. I wish I would have seen that. No, I didn't get. I did not get Packy. That's awesome that it's in there though.
Yeah,
that's another thing I like about the nods that they put back with previous Grand Theft Autos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a few of them too, even as far back as not only Grand Theft Auto 4, but I mean Grand Theft Auto 3. There's even some little nods here or there. They're kind of harder to find. But yeah, that's kind of who I went with the whole heist thing. The only person I went midway on was the hacker. So I had a minute, but the funny thing is, I guess because my wheelman and my gunman were so well, and they're so high up there, that we were able to grab all of the jewelry in one go.
I did too.
In less than.
I did too.
Well, then I don't know how I made so much more money over you.
There might have been another, because that's another thing I think is a good point to bring up right now with missions, is that you actually have certain goals for missions and you get a ranking. So I may have not actually got like a higher ranking. Maybe I took longer to get to like the actual extraction zone or something like that. That's the only thing I could think of. Like I didn't get a gold rating on that heist.
I don't think I did either. That's why it's kind of weird how that turns out. But again, like I said, that's a feature I wanted to see more of, which from what I understand will be rectified with Grand Theft Auto Online, because the main focus of Grand Theft Auto Online is going to be a major amount of heists and doing a lot of crazy stuff like that, which I can't wait for. I'm actually more excited for Grand Theft Auto Online than I was for Grand Theft Auto 5, although, like I said, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still a great game. The customization was a nice touch too. It wasn't anything too fancy, and it's not create a player, which is fine. That's what Grand Theft Auto Online's for. But the way I set it up, originally I wanted to make Michael look like Max Payne, but I couldn't find like the pants for it. Is chat working for you? I'm still not working for me.
I see Mark in here. It's working for me right now.
All right, yeah, it's not working for me. I can't see what anybody's saying. Thanks a lot, League of Legends. But
well, Mark was just saying that he was kind of disappointed with the heists.
yeah, see, I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm just wondering if he's disappointed with how short they were, how easy they were, or just the lack of heists. That's what I'm wondering.
Me personally, the lack of
That's what it is for me.
And again, I think that you probably pretty much nailed it. What the single player, like as vast as the single player campaign is, I think it's pretty much kind of the way they're intending it is like the tutorial for GTA Online.
Yeah.
Like you get a taste of what you can do like just nonstop in the single player for GTA Online. I think that might not be their intention, but I mean, again, it's all about, not to go too far in GTA Online, but they've already said it's about, you know, getting your crews and then planning out these heists, the same deal. And I really liked it, like with the jewelry heist, you know, scouting out the area, hiring, you know, what one, you know, particular person you want, you know, if the more money you spend, basically in hiring the person, the better their skill, or you can have more money for yourself, but
It might not turn out so well.
Skill, right? So I really enjoyed that. I'm with you guys. I really would like to see a lot more of that, but again, we haven't beat it yet. So
yeah, and then there's also the, like I said, the whole customization. The way I have it set up, I have Franklin with the big old beard and kind of like the medium-sized fro, so it kind of looks like Ice Cube or Kimbo Slice, whichever way you want to take it. But I always have him dressed up in a nice-ass business suit. This is just the way I see Franklin, is like the coming-up entrepreneur.
That's how I got him now. He's all suited up.
Franklin, the way that's the way I have him set up. But Michael, the way I want to do him, like I said, I want to do the whole Max Payne, because you can kind of get like the leather jacket and shirt that looks similar to Max Payne. So I kind of wanted to do the nod to that because the whole Rockstar thing. But I couldn't find the pants or the shoes for him. And I was pissed because you don't have dress pants. You have the jacket and everything else, but there's no pants that you can go ahead and get for him to kind of match that.
Now,
well, okay, you do have that. You do have
like,
his.
This is literally Michael's default suit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a straight up nod to Max Payne.
Well, I meant like the old school Max Payne, but yes, I did notice that, but I meant like the original, like the first game, Max Payne.
I got you.
But no, I did notice that too. I thought that was nice. I'm like, good job, because he even kind of has the look of Max Payne, although he's a little bit bigger, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so that didn't work out. So I still kept him clean cut, still the same hairdo. I had him suit up though. I just had to make him look slick. He has just the pure black suit, just everything's black. Trevor, I wanted to make him super hobo deluxe, but the funny thing is you can't buy clothes to make him look more like a hobo, more than what he has by default. I really thought there would have been like some really nasty ass flannel shirt I could have put on him or some other stuff, and it didn't work out. So instead, I put him in a tuxedo, and I gave him the mullet and the thick hobo beard, so it just looks like a hobo in a tuxedo, which is really funny to see him that way in a lot of the cutscenes.
Like I recently just changed pretty much Franklin to look how you got him set up, like all pretty much GQ looking and stuff. Michael and Trevor, I got like this full like the mullet and like big old beards and shit. But in terms of like not necessarily looking hobo, but you could definitely make Trevor look more white trash because they got options for like tank tops. Like he's got like string tank tops, nasty shit. You can make them look fucking crazy. That's one thing though. I'm still kind of disappointed in the fact that, and this is actually taken away from Grand Theft Auto 4 as well, that like if you eat, which you can't go to restaurants now to eat, but again, with that in itself, because you can't go to a restaurant and eat, you can't sit there and go like, oh, I'm eating too much burger shot, so now I'm overweight, or things like that. Like, I wish that element would have been brought back from San Andreas.
Oh yeah, because
That's
then you
the
could
more
probably get Michael
RPGs.
more fit, so people would stop making fat jokes.
Right. Get fucking Franklin. I don't know. There's some of the cutscenes though, like Franklin was like leaning over and stuff. He looks pretty fucking cut. I don't know if
Yeah,
he
you
is
really
or
couldn't
not.
do much more with him.
But
And the other throwbacks, like there's also a throwback to San Andreas. Like apparently you can go ahead and solve CJ's mother's murder.
oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And some of the other crazy stuff, like people were reporting Bigfoot, the ghost chick that you
Yeah,
posted up
yeah.
as another thing people found. Somebody actually found the crashed alien spaceship underwater.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I spent like that's another thing. Like I got almost 45 to 46 hours in this game already, and again, I still haven't beat it yet. But there has to be at least 4 to 5 hours of that was just me in a submarine going around the entire fucking island looking for shipwrecks and plane wrecks.
Mhm.
And I did not, obviously, because it gets some areas get so murky, and this is one thing I'm questioning. I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but there's certain areas that once you go deep, the water gets like a purple haze over it. Now I don't know if you're familiar with the sci-fi film where they're underwater, they're doing basically underwater like mining, oil drilling and shit,
Yeah.
where there's a big purple haze. It's a sci-fi movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, there's quite a few of them, so you'd have to be a little more specific.
It's got Ed Harris in it.
It is. Isn't that the one that has like the water alien?
Yes. The
Ah,
Abyss.
the Abyss. That's what it is. The Abyss.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were intentionally doing that, or if it's just a coincidence of that's how the water looks. But
Yeah.
that's the first thing I thought. Like I started going deep. You can only go so far because you get crushing depth. But like there's this purple hue everywhere. I was like, holy shit! Am I going to see fucking underwater aliens? What the hell?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, the thing that scared the shit out of me, which is completely just psyching myself out, and it's not something that's even in the game, is when I was going around this submarine with Trevor at night, and I'm going deeper, I'm just like, I'm going to see a fucking megalodon. A big-ass shark is just going to come and eat my submersible while I'm in it. Because you have all these other fantastical creatures, like you have Bigfoot, you have aliens, you have all this other stuff going on. I'm like, why not? Just throw a big-ass shark. Which, from what I understand, they still have a great white shark of pretty large size. They can eat you, and apparently you get a Jaws-style achievement for it. But,
See, I didn't get the achievement for that, but there was. Oh shit! What the fuck was it? Wait, I just lost my train of thought. Never mind.
But what mission did you do where you actually had to go in the water and you got chased by that big ass shark, or was that just you dicking around?
I was just digging around, but later on you can actually buy a property as Michael that basically what you do you obtain the submarine and you use the submarine to locate um, toxic material underneath the water.
Oh, okay.
I remember what I was going to say. There was people in the stream that was saying they was hoping for like an Easter egg of like this SpongeBob, like you just going down through there, you just see like a giant pineapple under there or some shit like that.
I would ram into it. I'd go full speed.
Be awesome. You hit it like, what the fuck?
Comes out and attacks you. You Grand Theft Auto jacks you out of the submarine, and then you just get crushed by the pressure.
But there's like a straight up UFO, like not even underwater. And that's a good thing to bring up. That
Isn't that at the top of Mount Gilead?
I don't know where it's at, but because not only the ball sack stock market is tied into the game, but also taking pictures.
Yeah.
Take selfies, and you can upload that to the social network. And if you see something crazy like that, you can take a picture and you can share it with people. And I think, we know next generation consoles is definitely pushing for, more online intricate shit.
Yeah,
I
the
think
social
it's a good
interactions.
way of doing it it's not necessarily multiplayer, even though we know GTA Online's gonna be multiplayer. But
Yeah.
these little things here, you're not paying extra to do it. It's nice little subtle things that add to the experience. I
Well,
like.
yeah, I mean, for people who don't have capture cards or are streaming like we are, doing other stuff like that, they have some way of still capturing a moment that might be absolutely epic or just hilarious.
Like, I think my favorite one so far is I was doing one of the rampages as Trevor, and after like the rampage was done, I was just looking like there's just fucking bodies everywhere. So I just like turned around and did a selfie with like
I did the
Trevor
same
and all
thing. You
these
just see
fucking
like all the
bodies.
bodies all over the place. You just see him just like, eh. I had the same idea. Funny enough, great minds think alike.
That's right. But it's
um,
awesome. I like how they did that shit.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of little nuances and everything they've added in there, and that's one thing I loved about Saints Row 4, which Grand Theft Auto did, and that's why I would say that I'm not gonna do some stupid grading scale or anything like that, but when it comes to the review, spoiler alert for my review, I'm more likely gonna say buy it because it is a great game, even though I only rented it. Um, I mean, sandbox games are kind of hard for me to want to buy because of the fact that it's once you're kind of done everything and you 100% it, other than wiping out the game and starting new later, it's really hard to try and pick up and play again. And I mean, even with Saints Row 4, the only reason why I really purchased Saints Row 4 is because it is a good game, and I think other people should buy it. But mostly because of the fact that I have the other three games, so it's kind of just like completing the series. Otherwise, I probably just would have rented Saints Row 4 and given the review saying buy it as well.
All right. And I'm that's the same thing that happened with me because I mean with the exception of the PSP games, and there was one on DS like Chinatown Wars as
Yeah.
well. With the exception of that, like I've beat all the wow, I almost said Saints Row, the Grand Theft Auto games, but like San Andreas, like what you were saying, is a perfect example for me. It's like I've started San Andreas at least 3 or 4 different times after beating it the first time, but I can never like I always get to a certain part where I'm just like I'm fucking done. I've done this before, and that's one of the things that I think Grand Theft Auto Online is going to change up with that. Is the fact that you're going to keep coming back for at least that. So
Yeah,
I have
that's
to
what I
agree.
said.
It's definitely a purchase just in that in itself.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe down the line I'll probably buy it if there's still people doing Grand Theft Auto Online. Because like I said, I was more excited for that feature than I was for the actual main game, which is also what I'm saving for the full review I'm inevitably going to do for the game.
What you're not going to review half the game and give it a 10 out of 10, and then when the other half gets released, give it
A 15 out of 10.
15 out of 10. Yeah.
I don't even think it's a 10 out of 10. I can't think of any game, even the ones I love, that I would say are a 10 out of 10. I
I
mean, to
could
me,
not.
a 10 out of 10 is perfection. And I really can't say that any game's perfect. Every game has some kind of little flaw that would keep it from being that perfect 10 out of 10, which is why I don't like that metric system that they go based off of. The way I do it is, like I said, the whole skip it, rent it, or buy it. Because in the end, that's what people want to know. Should I play this? Should I rent it if I'm going to play it, or should I buy it?
Right.
Nobody cares about numbers. People already take numbers the wrong way. Most people think that anything under an 8 is shit.
Right. And that's actually part of the controversy going on around Grand Theft Auto 5
And we
as
can now
well.
segue into that. I'll let you
So
take it.
like for me, what was been so aggravating about this week in itself is again anybody else that knows me is I even a couple of months ago I was kind of excited for Grand Theft Auto, but it didn't really hit me until more details about the game came out, and I was like, okay, this looks really good. The game came out, and it seemed like every time somebody was like, even just like the midnight release, people were like, "Oh, I'm at the midnight release. I'm excited. There's a game." Like there was genuine excitement about a game, which I'll be honest, personally, I don't really see in the game industry anymore. I see people like, "Oh, this looks cool." Okay, but like there was so much excitement
Yeah.
around this game, and all of a sudden this bandwagon of, "Oh, you like Grand Theft Auto? Fuck you!" Like what? What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah. I mean,
And
it's been so polarized. It's either people absolutely love it to like crazy cultist degree, or you have people that just absolutely hate it, think it's absolute garbage, and there just shouldn't be anything as far as Grand Theft Auto concerns. It just shouldn't exist. Wipe it off the map.
Well, that doesn't bother me whatsoever. What bothers me is people that generally like the game, that pre-ordered it, planned on getting it on day one, and before they even put the fucking disc in the tray, they was like, "Why the fuck is people sucking Rockstar's dick?" Okay, why you fucking wanting to chop it off? Like, you haven't played it, like you haven't beat it yet either. So you're just as bad as people going, "Oh, this should be the greatest game ever."
Oh, yeah, that's exactly my point. It's funny
what I mean?
how polarized it is
Right.
in that regard, and I mean it is kind of bad because you have the whole thing with it. The people, I mean, there's a lot of people that already gave it 10 out of 10, which I'm sorry, was to be expected. You knew there was going to be people giving it 10 out of 10, and then you had people like, oh, that's bullshit. Those people were paid off, which is whatever. It's those people more than likely did think it was 10 out of 10, even though they didn't play, in a sense, the full game yet. It's whatever. It's what they decided to do. It's not necessarily because they got paid off, and it's not to say the game probably doesn't deserve it in their eyes. It's whatever.
And one of the things that's been a real big controversy right now is, and it's kind of going back into what I almost segued into earlier about like the characters, is one particular review from GameSpot where basically the game was faulted because of its approach and how it interpreted women in the game, which for me, honestly, I don't see how that point could be valid because I don't feel like there's any outstanding men in this game either.
No,
Like,
I mean,
you're
there's no
playing as
punches
three
pulled
criminals.
for anybody.
Exactly. Like, and like we was talking about earlier, Grand Theft Auto is, notorious for making fun of our society. It's not, well, what's the fucking word? Glorifying it. It's
No,
not
not at all.
glorifying being a criminal. It's not glorifying being, hateful and, treating women like shit. It's not
It's
glorifying.
mocking all of it. That's what's
Exactly.
funny.
Exactly.
Like the instead of American Idol or what's that other thing that's now bigger than American Idol? It's like America's Got Talent or something like that. They have Fame or Shame.
Yeah.
And even like there's the one thing with Michael's daughter, and I'll just leave it at that. That has to do with Fame or Shame. And that whole thing was kind of funny, and it just really is just a giant mockery of some of the worst parts of our society.
Right. And I mean, that's the thing about it. If our society didn't have these stupid things in there, I don't even know if Grand Theft Auto could exist. And if it did, it certainly wouldn't be what it is now. Because again, like you said, it is an exact mockery of our society.
I mean, at the same time, too, I mean, okay, you look at the strippers. Strippers are always going to be considered demeaning, even though they choose the job. I mean, there's always other options, but we won't get into that. Like we discussed before, at least some of them have enough self-respect that they're not going to just sleep with you just because you're going to throw them extra money. So I'm not saying that's an empowering women, so to speak, but it's definitely not bashing them any further than they potentially could have, very easily could have taken it.
Right. And I mean, that's the thing about it, and this is one of the things I had in my rant that I did earlier this week, is that if you play a game named after a felony and expect some type of moral boost out of it, you have the wrong expectations for this game. It's no different than playing Madden and expecting when you go in for a blitz to have their heads fall off.
Yeah.
Like, you have the wrong expectations. You have to understand what you're playing. And I truly do not believe that, it not being a fanboy or whatever, but I do not believe the game should be, docked in a score because somebody expected the game to be something that it was never intended to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think of Grand Theft Auto, like you said, you're not really expecting it to be anything serious. If anything, it's not like this is what you should do, this is glorified. It's really just a giant, this is what society should not be like. This is what you should not do.
Exactly. And it gives you the opportunity of doing these things that you can't do in the real world. Or I guess you could, but as good, sane human beings, you choose not to do in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, even pulling out a gun now in Grand Theft Auto 5, just pulling it out, not even doing anything else with it, gets you a 1 star. You don't even have
Yeah.
to shoot anybody yet at this point in the game.
Well,
There's-
I actually had an incident the other day where I was on top of Mount Chiliad. You know how there's two dirt bikes at the very top?
yeah.
I got on a dirt bike and I was just like riding around and I rode by somebody. The fucking cops came shooting at me because I rode a dirt bike right beside them. I'm like, what the fuck is this
You
shit?
could have knocked him out. You're driving recklessly.
I could have. I guess I probably kicked dust up in their face or something, but
But yeah, I mean, as far as the controversy is concerned, you had two reviews. Two of them got bashed. One got bashed more than the other, which, funny enough, also has to do with our previous topic on Gamer Talk Live, the whole females in the game industry, female gamers, even in this case, a female
transgender.
gamer who happened to
Yeah.
be also a reviewer and did a review for the game. They didn't even just take away from the fact that she found it misogynistic. It was whatever. A lot of people, unfortunately, personally attacked her. Like, you're a girl.
Right.
You don't know what you're talking about. Stop playing games. We don't even know why you're doing this, which is really unfortunate and stupid in itself.
Well,
I, I would agree,
what-
too, about the whole docking points. I mean, again, it comes down to the reviewer, and this is something we discussed before. It's however they want to do it, and we can say we don't like the fact that they do it, but they do have that right. But I would agree, like, taking a point off simply for the fact that you find it misogynistic when it is Grand Theft Auto. I wouldn't do it, but I can understand why she did it.
right, and the thing that usually comes back with that is like, oh, because it's Grand Theft Auto, it's okay. Like,
No, it's
no,
not. That's okay.
yeah,
It's just that's what's
exactly.
been established. If you expect
Right.
anything different, then I mean, it's almost like Duke Nukem. Everybody hyped. Well, not say that they hyped it up, but people who never experienced Duke Nukem are like, "Oh my God, this is terrible." It's like
Exactly.
if you ever played Duke Nukem, I mean, this is his personality. They got Duke Nukem as a character down to a T. I mean, if you didn't enjoy it because you thought he was too misogynistic, because he was a prick, anything else like that, then you've probably never played a Duke Nukem game. Because that's what it's going to happen. That's his character. That's the way he was written. And even he is supposed to be a satire on the whole 90s action genre in itself.
Yeah. And now if anybody that's watching this follows me on Twitter, and I know Anthony interjected on this.
Got your tag down there beneath you.
I actually saw this on Facebook. Somebody had shared this article, basically just outright, and this is kind of going back to Grand Theft Auto. Well, it is going back to Grand Theft Auto 4, but it's the story in regards to the 8-year-old who shot and killed his grandmother. Again, with this article, it at no point actually questions, why was the 8-year-old playing an M-rated game, but from what she wrote, I didn't read the actual police report, but the police are straight out stating that Grand Theft Auto 4 basically caused this kid to go kill his grandmother, like straight out. That the motive behind the murder was
Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yes.
And it's just funny that we still have that to this day, because that's also been such an ongoing conflict. It's like we have the ESRB for a reason. It's an M-rated game. It shouldn't even be in the hands.
They make apps. They make an app.
Oh, see, I didn't even know they make an app.
Yeah, literally across. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have an iPhone. You don't have to iOS. You don't have to have Android.
Well, I know they advertise a lot more often too. So I mean, the ESRB is kind of definitely put in people's faces, and as much as I don't like to reference Kotaku because they're kind of hit and miss when it comes to a lot of their articles, there was an article that was submitted to them from an actual person who works as a retail manager, to where he went on to the fact that he went beyond what most retailers would do and say, oh, hey, this is an M-rated game. He would say, this is an M-rated game, just so you know, this particular game depicts sexual acts, there's going to be violent drug use. He would say that to him, and usually the parents would be like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal, it's my older kid that's more likely going to play it, I don't really think my other kid's going to have any kind of exposure to it, so don't worry about it. And unfortunately, that's completely, a falsity. It's just a falsity. It's just not how it turns out. Generally, that younger kid always gets a hold of it because it's still easily accessible. Just like, unfortunately, with your whole gun rant, the ammo and the weapon was right there. It was too easy for him to go ahead and do that. I mean, there's not even a discussion over responsibility of gun handling or ownership. Like you said, you have a shotgun, but you keep the ammo away from your shotgun. So if you guys want to rob Nate, go for it. But I mean, there's a proper way of doing things. So I mean, it's a misstep parenting wise, and it's a misstep gun ownership wise. And even when there's not a matter of we don't want to debate gun laws or whatever, if we're still just debating games, a lot of these people who unfortunately have these games and a lot of these crazy articles, it's because they shouldn't have had the game in the first place. It's the whole reason why that rating system is implemented in the first place. Isn't that right, Cyberdemon?
And the thing with that is that, this has always been a controversy surrounding Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto, and really a lot of Rockstar games, has always been that go-to company, and their games are the go-to games for accusations on this. And I've read that, the people that, prove or at least throw up evidence that's, stating that, hey, this doesn't cause, there's not enough evidence or really any significant evidence to prove that, violent video games would cause somebody to go out and murder somebody. And then they go, well, we're not talking about murder, we're talking about, causing violent behavior. Then why is it never brought up until somebody's murdered? You never hear about a fight in the high
like
school.
Assault or anything else like that.
Right. You never hear about, oh, little Timmy got suspended for that fight in high school because he played Grand Theft Auto 5. Mm-hmm. No, you don't hear about that. It's only brought up during murders. And it just really simply goes back down to what you was talking about earlier. There is a rating system for a reason. People understand that I'm not going to let my 8-year-old or however old they are watch an R-rated movie. It is literally no different with a M-rated game. If you're not going to let them watch an R-rated movie, and that's one thing I wish the ESRB would get with the movie rating system, and actually just have them like in sync. That way, an R-rated game. That way, there's not that. Even though all you have to do is read the fucking text.
We both know from our jobs that common sense isn't always a factor when it comes to the human condition.
It is literally right in front of them, but again, it's like we have to take these big, huge steps for people being lazy, which is, again, the parents. It goes to that.
Even when things are spelled out for them and thrown in their face, like the ESRB, people still can't seem to figure it out or comprehend it. It's just kind of sad. And even on that topic of movies and other forms of media, there's been very violent depictions in books, even way back when up until now. Like the Game of Thrones books are far more graphic, and not only the violence, but also the sexually explicit acts. Even down to certain scenes that involve rape. And nobody ever thinks to blame books or even movies where, again, such heinous acts are also depicted as well. For some reason, it's always video games. And I think the reason why a lot of people do that is because, like, oh, it's interactive. They're the ones acting that stuff out. But you're saying it's what they're seeing. So if they're seeing that, then it's no different than if they were to go ahead and see it from any other medium. But I guess kids don't read anymore, so you can't blame books.
Right, and that's one thing I was going to say would be more, in my opinion, obviously there's no science behind this, but in my opinion, I think a book that is depicting like such things as like rape or something like that would be more harmful, because you're encouraging the reader
to imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're having them picture how that would look. So it's not just, oh, I'm seeing this. It's them.
Very vivid detail.
Right. And that kind of ties into the review from IGN. Keza McDonald, one of her gripes with the game was the torture scene, which is now is coming out. Did the torture scene go too far?
No, not at all. And I'm actually glad we brought this up, because I actually probably would have forgotten this. The torture scene, although I didn't feel the same way, because I guess maybe my mind is warped from playing all them video games. But the torture scene really didn't bother me at all. And I guess the reason why is because, one, I already know that it's not real. And although it's based on something that is very much real, the way they handled it, I thought was well. Not so much the torture itself, because that was pretty bad. I'm not going to say otherwise. But even afterwards, after you torture the guy, without going into too much detail, spoiling or anything like that, Trevor has a discussion with the guy. For starters, even though, again, Trevor's a psychotic fuck, he actually lets this person go. He's like, I'm letting you go because you need to go fly a plane, get off the grid, and you need to tell people that you were tortured. That this can't happen because torturing is not an effective method of gathering information. You could have told us just anything. I mean, if we wouldn't have tortured you, would you have given us the information? He's like, I would have told you everything. And he's like, see? It's just proof that all it is just guys getting off on the fact that they're torturing people, or it's just a power trip for them. Completely bashing and just demonizing torture. So it was actually...
And this coming from the most psychotic character in the game.
Yes, exactly. Just to further put that in perspective, this guy who had no qualms whatsoever with completely murdering an entire household and then proceeding to do a gas trail until blowing the place up. Amongst many other murderous sprees he goes on. Guy gets made fun of because he's Canadian. It's like, what are you talking about? Goes on a murdering rampage. But he says torture. Exactly. He's going around with a grenade launcher, killing military units. But torture's where he draws the line. So that's when you know torture must be very wrong, when somebody so morally bankrupt even says, that's the line, don't cross it. If anything, I think it's kind of necessary, but unfortunately people either didn't play through the whole thing or didn't pay attention to the conversation that happened afterwards, which is very unfortunate.
Or they made a point to completely leave that out, which is, again, kind of going on with that, because I've actually not really had a conversation with the author of the article that I was talking about earlier, but
back and forth with her.
Yeah, I brought up several points, like the fact that, again, kind of going back to Grand Theft Auto 4, that you do not earn points killing people or shooting people, however you want to word it. You do not earn points for that in Grand Theft Auto 4. Also, in her article, she actually goes on to say that whenever you try to have these discussions with a gamer or a violent video game denier, as
she coined that phrase,
that they get hostile. They start throwing out threats. They start throwing out profanity, like all this stuff. Like basically, we're gutter trash. Like we are the worst of the worst in society. Even though there's rapers, there's actual drug dealers out
child
there,
molesters.
All this stuff. No, the demons out there are the people that don't believe a video game is going to cause somebody else to go out and shoot somebody.
But, I mean, again, it also comes down to media sensationalism, too, which also Grand Theft Auto 5 made fun of. Weasel News.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that they're reporting was just complete tabloid trash, which unfortunately is practically what our news has become nowadays. It's like there's no real stories. It's always gloom, doom, and anything that could be just normal. They make a mountain out of a molehill. Or, I'm sorry.
Shit that we shouldn't even care about, like some porno movie that was like filmed, like somebody caught in a sex act or some shit like that. Like, why do we even care about this stuff?
Or even like the tie-in, like they even made fun of violence in video games at one point. I think it was on the talk radio, because I was listening more to the talk radio than anything because of some of the hilarious conversations they have. But I remember when the callers coming in talking about violent video games, like, this is completely terrible, we shouldn't have them, we should just get rid of them, we should throw gamers in jail, all this other crazy nonsense. And and I remember reading, actually, I even chimed in with your little discussion with her, and I mean, I wasn't going to bash her or say anything otherwise, but I went to check out her Twitter feed because for one thing, she spams all the same stories. Like, she'll repost the same story at least 8 times. And that's the 8 times per a single period, but done multiple periods throughout the day. And she's talking about Miley Cyrus gets dissed by Cher, and all these other just tabloid trash. But then it's funny.
Naked photos leaked of Justin Bieber.
Or Justin Bieber's new album has no music. It's like, really? It's like, I feel sorry for her. Not as a person or anything like that. It's just that if this is what it takes for her to make any kind of money, I really wish there'd be something better for her. Like, I'm being sincere. I really wish she didn't have to go down to having to write such nonsense and try to pass it off as real news. And what's funny is the whole debate you had with her. It started off with her talking about how GTA is causing all this violence, and then almost immediately afterwards says, "Hey, check out this link for Grand Theft Auto 5 cheats."
Not
So
making
it's like,
it up.
What? You go around bashing the crap out of it, then you go ahead and try and pander to the gamers, going like, "Oh, well, here, Grand Theft Auto 5 cheats." After you just got done bashing the crap out of it, are you fucking serious?
I mean, and again, like that's the thing about it. Like you were saying earlier, like Weasel News, Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto makes fun of that shit because that is what happens in real society. It's granted a lot of the situations go over the top.
They're exaggerated on purpose.
Right, but like I was saying before when I was like having a discussion with her and then like I kind of going off and on in my own tweets is saying like if you want to see something truly sick and disturbing, watch the news.
Yeah.
Like that's where all the fucked up shit's coming, and that's where honestly Rockstar keeps getting their content from. Because as long as we as a society keep doing stupid shit, they're still going to be able to make games.
It's
making
fuel to
fun
their
of our stupid
fire.
shit. Exactly.
And I even said back to her, kind of smart ass, because that's the way I work. As I'm like, okay, well, don't forget to post because she got angry at you, and she was like being a smart ass, and she's like, oh, thank you for this. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure to add this to my article about video game violence deniers.
Her inspiration. I was her inspiration.
Yeah,
for
the video game deniers article she was gonna write, and I just said to her back, I'm like, oh, hey, don't forget that companion piece about Florida man. As far as I almost said Florida man deniers because of Mark. Bad parenting deniers, as well as what was the other thing I brought up? It was bad parenting deniers, and
the ESRB
deniers. Because it's like people deny that.
But again, like she didn't acknowledge that when I brought it up to her either. Like they're not going to point this out because that won't sell the story.
Nope.
Cops.
Media sensationalism.
Video game causes murder. That will sell the story. The fact that a parent is too fucking lazy to read a goddamn little small thing right here. Right there it is.
Which also is on the back in full detail of what you can expect in there.
What's in there. They're not going to do that. Why? Parents are lazy. You're not going to sell a story on parents are lazy because why? People already know that.
Well, because people are going to get upset and they're going to take it to heart and it's going to be offensive and it's going to get taken down.
Oh, God.
Can't speak the truth, God forbid.
Exactly.
I mean, the funny thing is besides the controversy, there's been a lot of negative stories. Like, unfortunately, you had these couple of jackasses who tried to pretend like they're cops just to get a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5 ahead of everybody else. One of them, their father was an ex-cop, so they had a badge. The other one, I think, was like a cop in training or something like that, so they had a badge. And they got another badge for their buddy. They bought a cop car from an auction and then actually purchased like the lighting fixtures for it. So they showed up. They pretended to be like extra security, to which a rent-a-cop tried to give them coffee and thanked them for the extra security. They were there for a little while to try and seal that deception. Then it kind of like a Grand Theft Auto heist. Oh, see what I did there? They walked up and they got to cut the entire line of a lot of people who've been waiting there probably for like half the day, and were able to purchase their copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 and walk out. And they almost got away with it, except for the dumbasses made an illegal U-turn in the dressed-up cop car, and an actual cop that was on duty saw it and caught him. So now they're going to be facing actual years of jail time, as well as a crap load of money in fines for impersonating an officer.
There was also this. I am in no way saying this to make fun of the person, even though I know people will twist it, because I mean that's pretty much what he was talking about with like the tabloid media. But there was a special needs kid that, not in the sense that always needs like a caretaker or anything like that, but special needs nonetheless, that had went to purchase Grand Theft Auto 5. Well, because of his condition, some assholes decided to jump the kid stole his game. Um, Thankfully enough, he actually had a friend that one went out and bought him the game. Also, that the GameStop where he originally got the game from, his original copy, also gave him a bunch of fucking Grand Theft Auto merch. He also got like a free year's bus pass because he has to ride the bus. And also
A lot
games
of
like
people donated money and really tried to
yeah,
help this poor kid out, which does show, that there is great people out there as well, just as much as there's complete assholes. And another
exactly.
good story actually that came out today was there was a couple of kids who bought Grand Theft Auto 5 and they thought that was going to be the most exciting part of their day. And on the way back home, they see a house that's on fire. They actually went to a burning building and saved a family just to go ahead, just because they could. There's nothing
Yep.
they even really got out of it. They could have went home and be like, "All right, man, Grand Theft Auto 5." No,
Right,
instead they
or
did.
stood out there with their fucking phones and going, "Oh, look at this shit."
Yeah, exactly. Again, back to the whole unfortunate way society works. Like, oh man, this would be a great YouTube video, millions of
Exactly.
views. No, they risked their lives. They, saved this family. They did the right thing, and they play video games. Oh my
And what do they go
god,
home and play afterwards?
Grand
Grand
Theft
Theft
Auto
Auto
5.
5. So again, I mean, but that's not going to sell a story.
No, it's not.
It's not, and
Oh,
it's unfortunate. That's how our society is. But
and Nate,
what can we do?
you're right. I am gonna troll you because actually, for a good portion of the stream, I've had you on mute.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah. So you're just sitting there, just talking. Nobody's hearing anything.
Oh my God, are you serious?
No,
Right
I'm not serious right now.
Oh my God, what a dick.
That would have been good though. You're sitting there, we're having a serious discussion. It's kind of one-sided.
All you see is.
uh, I mean, I guess that's really about it for the controversy, other than just like the other stuff that's already happened a million times over, and we've already probably
Right.
discussed. But again, one thing I just want to just chime in on is Grand Theft Auto Online. I'm still excited for that. News has come out. I'm not sure if it's not entirely confirmed yet. There's quite a few places that are saying this and reporting it, so there may be some truth behind it. But the servers for each, kind of one that's set up is not going to be 16 people. It's actually going to be 32. So it'd be nice to have that nice little jump in numbers.
Yeah.
Especially because you have different crews running into one another as they're trying to pull heists.
Yeah.
Or even
See,
other people interfering with the heist would be funny as well.
that's one thing that I was really anticipating from Red Dead Redemption is that again kind of how it was built up as that you can rob these stagecoaches, but pretty much you take out all the guards, the sheriffs or whatever, and then you're getting ready to loot it, and then some other posse rolls up and takes you out.
Yep.
Like I hope that's what we can actually
No,
do.
from what they've said, that's what it's going to be. You're going to have kind of the free roam to where it's everybody out and about doing whatever they want to, because it will be using the map of Grand Theft Auto 5, which wasn't as big as they made it seem in their picture. Still a huge map, but I actually felt like Red Dead's map was a little bit bigger.
I
Funny
think
enough.
just the layout of like Red Dead Redemption makes it look bigger because you're not ever in a position to where you can get up high to actually see like the other end of the map. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But besides that, Grand Theft Auto Online is gonna be using the full map of Grand Theft Auto 5, which is gonna be cool, and it will have, from what they're saying, 32 people. Even if it's 16, that's still a decent amount of people to get going around. But it will be in the same vein of Red Dead Redemption, where it's a lot of people just going about. You can kind of decide to squad up with other people, or if you have a crew, roll with your own crew and do whatever you want. You have the not only the activities, but you also have heists, which I can't wait to see, especially doing a group. I'm trying to figure out how heists are going to work, though. I'm guessing maybe you can still plan it however you want to. It's just you don't need to hire anybody, because if you have enough people, it's just the actual people who are playing, they're going to be doing the different things.
That's what I'm kind of confused on is the way. Okay, I mean, just in itself, Grand Theft Auto Online. What do you think of when you hear the Elder Scrolls Online? MMO.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if like Grand Theft Auto Online is actually really just going to be kind of a miniature MMO.
No, it's from what they're showing, I wouldn't really see it that way. I guess it'd be MMO like,
Well, I
but
mean, there's actual story missions because when they was doing like the Grand Theft Auto Online reveal, Lamar was in there,
yeah.
and you're working with them. So I think there's going to be a lot more, like definitely taking it further than what Red Dead Redemption did, where you're just basically going to like a
Oh
gang
yeah, I mean
hideout and shoot them
absolutely,
out.
because you have the heists to begin with, which are supposed to be a crapload heists. I think it was like 299 unique missions they've said so far for Grand Theft Auto Online. So
No,
there's definitely going to be a lot to do.
there's no, there's over 500.
Over 500? Oh,
Over 500.
the last number I saw was like 299. I guess they jumped
No,
up.
confirmed over 500, and that's before user created content and also Rockstar created content later on.
Yeah. Now my question, and you know I'm a sucker for it because we discussed about how earlier you saw me dressed up all nice for an interview I have soon. That you actually thought you opened up a picture to Inauguration Station for Saints Row 4 because that's how close it looked from the way I was dressed versus my character in Saints Row, and apparently also the looks. I'm a huge sucker for a creative player. I will take the time to, as meticulously as possible, kind of put myself in a game because I guess I am one of those crazy people because I'll try and put myself in a game because real life is. I love everything about my life, don't get me wrong, but there's no greater sense of adventure. There's not like the crazy stuff that you can do like you can in video games. So always trying to create myself to do something like that. I want to see how they're going to do that. The only thing they revealed as far as creative players concerned is you can dress up however you want, but I think the actual clothing might be, from what they've shown, limited, kind of like with it is with Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, where you only have certain outfits. I'm hoping they give you more. But the only thing they confirmed is the whole lineage thing. Lineage will basically set up how your stats are. I'm hoping that's more of like an RPG MMO style thing to where all it is just starting stats, not how your character looks and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
They did reveal you have male and female, but I'm hoping it's not, all right, well, I want to play as a male. Okay, here's your generic male model. That's who you're going to play as. Or I'm going to play as a female. Okay, well, here's your generic female model. You know, go out there and play as that. I'm really hoping you actually get to customize.
Which unfortunately, I mean that's pretty much exactly how Grand Theft Auto 4's online multiplayer was. You had a couple of different ones to choose from, but it was pretty much just generic characters. I think I'm just going off memory, but like in terms of like facial customization, you got like 4 or 5 different preset character like rendered faces to choose from, and that was it. For like 4 male and then like 4 or 5 female or whatever. So
I mean, that's more than likely what Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be, which would be mildly disappointing, but that would only just be because of something that I would expect, even though they never said that, so I couldn't fault Rockstar for that. But either way, I'm still excited for Grand Theft Auto Online. I know we're going to crew up. I don't know what the name of the crew is. Do you want to tell everybody, Nate? Because I'm pretty sure we'll take on everybody who watches our stuff, Gamer Talk Live, my stuff, whoever.
what I'll do, you already know what the crew's name is.
Real Gamers. Did you use the hashtag too?
You actually, unfortunately, cannot use
hashtags. Okay,
in there.
So it's going to be Real Gamers or Real Gamers. It's going to be
Gamers.
RILLGAMR. So if you want to, when you have
S.
Social Club.
I went ahead.
Oh, you went and
S
put
in
the
there.
S. Okay, so
yeah,
the
because the hashtag wasn't there, so it kind of.
Okay, so it's RILLGAMRS. If you want to, go ahead and make sure to jump on Social Club, sign up for it if you haven't already, and go ahead and try and join our crew. We'll take anybody who wants to get in there.
And this is on PlayStation 3.
PlayStation 3, unfortunately. I'm sorry for anybody who plays Xbox 360. I actually have more Xbox 360 games than I do actual PS3 games, so that's why I got it for PS3, because I needed to show that system some love. Otherwise, it would be just a glorified Blu-ray player for me.
And I don't have money for Xbox Live, baby. So
yeah. And Cyber Demon, as soon as the PC version comes out, it depends. Like I said, I wasn't really keen on buying Grand Theft Auto period, but as far as Grand Theft Auto Online is concerned, I might buy it for the PC version if it becomes cheaper by that time, just for the Grand Theft Auto Online. Or I would hope, because they're not doing it with the console versions, that they would at least make a standalone version for PC, because there's no reason why they couldn't make a standalone version for the PC.
And to further go on that, and this is a good, interesting fact directly related with this, and what was the first day Grand Theft Auto 5 made $800 million. In 3 days, they hit the billion-dollar mark. In 3 days.
Which is
No,
scary.
nothing else in entertainment has hit the billion-dollar mark
No,
that fast.
it has the Cyber Demon speedrun world record.
It does. Now, granted, there are people out there that bought the $150 collector's edition. So, I mean, when you talk about all media, yeah. Movies cost significantly
But
less.
they didn't make
still
an unlimited amount of those. Like everything else, they only had a certain amount. So
right.
It couldn't be attributed just to the collector's edition sales alone.
Right. So, I mean,
which is definitely impressive.
Yeah, there's a reason why people are excited about this game. That's why I got so aggravated when there was such a bandwagon of hate on the game. Not because I'm a fanboy, but because like totally people are enjoying it. I am a fanboy. I said not because I'm a fanboy. I didn't deny I am, but
I think I was pointing in the wrong direction too.
I mean, it's honestly. I mean, there's so many people excited about this. And when was the last time we saw a Grand Theft Auto game? 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years.
So I mean, there's a reason why people are excited about this, and I agree with you. I agree with like what Mark said earlier, and basically pretty much everybody that's beat the game thus far. That I don't feel that Grand Theft Auto 5 is a perfect game. I wouldn't rate it a 10 out of 10. I don't even rate Mass Effect games 10 out of 10. But I do believe it, from what I've experienced in the game thus far, and like I said, I'm 46 hours into the game right now. I'm having a hell of a time. It is, when you couple that with Grand Theft Auto Online, there's no way I cannot say if you're into these kind of games. Let me clarify that. If you understand what to expect from Grand Theft Auto, there's no way that you would feel that you wasted $60 on this game.
No, not at all. I mean, in very few games do you see such hard work and effort put into it, and it clearly shows not only just in the graphics, but again the aesthetics, just the level of detail as far as not only just the characters, but also their backstories, a lot of what's going on, the different story missions, the heists, which were limited, but they were still there. It's better than nothing. Just everything all around. They definitely put in a lot of work. It shows, and they definitely deserve a lot of their praise and the $1 billion that they've earned for it.
And then that's what I was going to say. Like, they've had $1 billion. There's no fucking reason why they can't make a PC version. Because, like you were saying, like, the graphics,
they're going to make a PC version. There's no doubt about it. They can go ahead and beat around the bush all they want, pretend like they're not going to. We all know it's happening.
Right. And, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, with these dated consoles, if they can pull the shit off that they did with this, I
have to buy a new video card, damn it.
Hard thinking about how awesome this game is going to look on PC.
I have to buy a new video card now. My video cards, I think it's a 560 GTX 560 or 550. It's good. I mean, I can play just about everything I have on Ultra, no problem. But for games like that, and especially all the new stuff that's coming out, I need a new video card, and that makes me sad.
I've actually experienced like frame rate issues specifically.
It's because I built you a lemon.
Sub. No, I'm talking about on PS3 version of GTA 5.
Oh, okay.
But it's only happened in the sub, and I think the reason because of that is when I'm actually surfaced in the sub, because it's got the entire ground like above water landscape loaded, but also because I'm partially submerged. So I think it's because it's got so much shit loaded at the same time. That's why the frame rate drops. Because once I go completely underwater, it's fine.
Yeah.
If I'm on a boat, it's fine. So that's the only like actual technical issue I had aside from a couple of clipping issues, but that's in pretty much every game.
Yeah. All right, and I guess that's really about it. Do you have anything else you want to add?
GTA Master Race. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really enjoying the game. Again, if anybody on PlayStation 3 and the eventual PC version of it, I'll be playing on that as well. But at least for now, PlayStation 3, October 1st is when GTA Online is supposed to go full balls to the walls launched.
You can see it because we're likely going to record it or stream it or both.
I'll be doing both. That's the thing about it. Like me personally, I haven't done any recording of it. I've done streaming, but that's like free roam. But I haven't done any recording of this because I just wanted to completely immerse myself in this because you can't. Like
But
that's
Grand Theft Auto, I mean, there's still going to be some level of immersion, obviously, but there's also going to be a hell of a lot of shenanigans going on that just have to be put into the pantheons of history of gaming.
I'd be interested to see if they added to the arsenal of weapons in this,
That would be nice.
because
I'm
that's
going
one
assault
thing.
rifle. I always go assault rifles for everything.
One thing I noticed in this, I'm sure you have to have seen it if you went in ammunition, that when you go to buy something, there is the PlayStation store, because we were playing on PlayStation. Obviously,
Yeah,
sir, with Xbox, it would be the same thing.
Hazard brought that up. He said that they're more likely going to have kind of like the pay to win, so to speak, model to where you can go ahead and buy different weaponry, whether it be with in-game currency or you're out of your own pocket, or maybe a little bit of both, which kind of makes me feel like it's taking a page out of APB Reloaded. Not in a bad way, because APB Reloaded definitely showed how Grand Theft Auto Online could work as far as doing it the way they have it planned out.
I think as long as it's set up in a way that it's basically like, if I don't want to sit here and play for like 10 hours to make enough money to get like a big arsenal, I'm just going to pay $10 and get a decent arsenal. If it's that way, okay. But if it's like literally to the point where you can't
Get
do
any
this
good
heist,
games or anything else.
right? Like you can't do like certain heists unless you have like this amount of assets, but you have to play like 40 hours to even get halfway there. Fuck that.
Yeah.
But that's more like free to play games. I really doubt. I mean,
That's more
it's
likely not the
maybe,
route they're going to go.
yeah, they're more conscious about what their audience wants. So
But
I still have faith at this point.
absolutely. I guess that'll do it for this. Thanks to everybody who's watching it and anybody who's going to be watching this on YouTube, of course. Thanks, Nate, for showing up, because I didn't want you to be a part of this, because you are the representative of and leader of the GTA Master Race. So it wouldn't be right to go ahead and do a Grand Theft Auto 5 stream without you. Go ahead and
I'm
make
still
sure.
interested if I'm getting trolled here, because I do see something behind the actual pictures here. So I'm waiting for like Nate's a dick to pop up or something like that.
There is no trolling. That's not the way I do things. See, he's been so psyched out. If anything, the troll is that he's psyching himself out, that he's going to get trolled. But yeah, make sure to check him out on Kane Bringing the Pain, as well as Kane Bringing the Game. Wow, voice crack there. Awesome. Kane Bringing the Game on YouTube, or even follow him. I got everybody, like my little tag and his tag for Twitter if you want to follow us. Also, Kane Bringing the Pain. And then for myself, I'm Anthony. You can check out my YouTube content at just search Amazingly Average Gameplay of Anthony, or Ams Av Game Ant. Good luck with that. Or even follow me on Twitter with the same little setup. And appreciate it. And until next time.
Later.